Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to walk through life completely unshaken? Imagine facing every challenge, every rude comment, every stressful situation with unbreakable calm, like an ancient tree standing tall through storms, its roots deep and steady. It almost feels like a superpower, doesn't it? But in reality, this ability is not reserved for a chosen few. It is something anyone can develop, with patience, awareness, and practice. Mastering our emotions is not about suppressing what we feel. It's about gaining the power to choose how we respond, rather than being pulled in every direction by external forces. Too often, we let other people's words and actions dictate our inner peace. A single comment can ruin our entire day. A moment of conflict can spiral into hours of frustration. But what if we could take back control? What if we could move through the world with a steady heart, immune to the chaos around us? This is what Buddhism teaches: how to remain calm in any situation, no matter who or what is trying to disrupt your peace. Today, we embark on a journey to break free from anger, frustration, and emotional turmoil. To stop being thrown around by the storms of life and instead become the unshakable observer, watching events unfold without losing our center. The power of emotional detachment. Most of us are deeply attached to our emotions. When someone says something hurtful, we feel it as a personal attack. When things don't go our way, we react with disappointment or anger. But what if we could take a step back? What if we could look at our emotions from a distance, the way we watch scenes in a movie? This practice, known as emotional detachment, does not mean we ignore our feelings. Instead, it teaches us to observe them without letting them control us. In Buddhist teachings, strong emotions like anger arise because of our attachment, our deep investment in how things should be. When something disrupts our expectations, we feel personally wronged. But here's the truth: someone else's words do not define you. Their actions do not control you. The anger, the hurt, the frustration, these are just passing experiences, like clouds drifting across the sky. And just as we don't try to grab onto clouds, we don't need to hold on to emotions. Imagine a time when someone insulted you. Your immediate reaction may have been to argue, to defend yourself, to let anger rise. But now, picture yourself pausing, breathing, asking yourself, why am I upset? Is it because I believe their words, or is it because I fear something deeper? Once you identify the feeling, whether it's anger, sadness, or embarrassment, you realize that it is separate from you. It is not who you are. It is simply something moving through you. And just like a wave in the ocean, it will rise and fall, then fade away. Observing without reacting. Most people believe that emotions must be expressed the moment they arise. But this is not true. We have a choice. We can express them, but we can also hold them, examine them, and decide whether they deserve our energy. Think about a stressful moment, maybe a time at work or school when someone made a rude remark. Your instinct might have been to snap back, but what if instead you paused and told yourself, "That was hurtful, but I don't have to let it ruin my day"? This simple act of stepping back gives you incredible power. You are no longer reacting impulsively. You are choosing your response. When emotions rise, take a deep breath. Notice the tension in your body. Is your heart pounding? Are your fists clenching? Recognizing these signals helps you stay aware of what's happening internally. The moment you realize you are angry, you gain the power to decide what happens next. Could you respond with patience? Could you ask a calm question instead of reacting with anger? Could you walk away, allowing yourself time to process before speaking? There is no shame in stepping back. Emotional detachment is not about avoiding problems or pretending things don't bother you. It is about choosing your battles wisely, about responding in a way that serves your long-term peace instead of feeding the fire. Practicing emotional detachment in daily life. Like any skill, emotional detachment takes practice. It does not happen overnight, but with daily effort, it becomes second nature. Start small. Next time you are stuck in traffic and someone cuts you off, notice the anger rising. Pause, take a breath, and think, I don't have to let this ruin my mood. This stranger's actions are not worth my peace. Doing this does not make you weak, it makes you strong. You are choosing serenity over conflict. Over time, this practice grows. You will find that situations that once made you furious no longer shake you. You become more resilient, more in control. You learn to navigate life's challenges with grace. The balance between detachment and compassion. Some people fear that if they practice emotional detachment, they will become cold or unfeeling. But this is not true. Emotional detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop suffering needlessly. You can still feel deeply. You can still love, connect, and show compassion. But you will no longer be a prisoner to emotional storms. You will no longer be tossed around like a paper boat in the wind. Instead, you will be the captain of your ship, guiding yourself through the waves with wisdom and control. Imagine watching an emotional wave approach. Instead of being swept away, you prepare, you observe, you steer yourself through it safely. This is the key to a healthier mind, learning to balance caring with detachment, feeling without being overwhelmed. Mindfulness, a tool for emotional mastery. One of the most powerful tools for emotional detachment is mindfulness. Mindfulness means paying full attention to the present moment, without judgment. If you are washing dishes, notice the warmth of the water, the scent of the soap, the rhythm of the motion. If you are speaking to a friend, focus entirely on their words, their expression, their emotions. By training the mind to stay present, you develop the ability to notice emotions as they arise, before they take control. Another simple yet powerful practice is deep breathing. When you feel anger building, take a slow inhale, hold for a moment, then exhale. This sends a signal to your brain that it is safe to relax. Imagine your belly rising with each breath in. Imagine it gently falling with each breath out. This simple act of focused breathing creates space in your mind, space to choose a response instead of reacting on impulse. Rewriting your reactions. If you want to develop emotional mastery, journaling can be a powerful practice. Each day, take a moment to reflect. What triggered you today? How did you react? Could you have responded differently? Over time, you will start noticing patterns. Maybe certain people or situations trigger you more than others. Becoming aware of these patterns empowers you to prepare. You can enter conversations with a commitment to staying calm. You can remind yourself of your power before engaging. The path to emotional freedom. Mastering your emotions does not mean you will never feel anger, sadness, or frustration again. It means these emotions will no longer control you. You will experience them, you will acknowledge them, and then you will let them pass, without clinging, without reacting, without allowing them to take over. This is the path to true freedom. The ability to feel, but not be ruled by feeling, to remain steady, no matter what the world throws your way. And as you continue this practice, something incredible happens. The moments that once triggered you will no longer shake you. The situations that once made you furious will pass with ease, because you will know, deep within you, that peace is not found in controlling the world. It is found in mastering yourself. Emotions are like waves. Some are gentle ripples, while others crash over us like a storm. But no matter how intense, they all pass. The problem is that most people don't realize this. They get caught in the storm, believing it will never end, allowing it to toss them around. But the truth is, no emotion lasts forever. And when you understand this, you gain something invaluable, the ability to ride the waves rather than be swallowed by them. Mastering your emotions is not about eliminating them. It's about learning how to navigate them with wisdom. It's about breaking the cycle of automatic reactions and replacing them with intentional responses. So how do we do this? How do we stop being ruled by anger, frustration, and stress? It all starts with awareness. Breaking the chain of reaction. Think about the last time you were angry. Maybe someone cut you off in traffic. Maybe a coworker spoke to you in a way that felt disrespectful. Maybe a friend cancelled plans at the last minute. What was your first reaction? Did your mind immediately race with thoughts like, "How dare they?" or "They don't respect me"? This is the automatic reaction cycle. Something happens, and before we even process it, we react. But this reaction is not a conscious choice. It's a pattern we've repeated so many times that it feels like the only option. But it's not the only option. The moment we recognize this cycle, we gain the power to break it. The next time you feel anger rising, don't react immediately. Pause. Take a slow, deep breath. Then ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Is it because of what just happened, or is there something deeper beneath it? Most of the time, our emotional reactions are not about the situation itself, but about the meaning we attach to it. A simple comment can feel like an attack if we believe it threatens our worth. A minor inconvenience can feel like a disaster if we are already overwhelmed. By questioning our emotions instead of acting on them, we create space between the trigger and our response. And in that space, we find freedom. Seeing emotions as temporary visitors. Imagine your emotions as guests visiting your home. Some are pleasant, joy, excitement, gratitude. Others are more difficult, anger, sadness, frustration. Now ask yourself, would you let an unpleasant guest take over your entire house? Would you let them rearrange the furniture, dictate your schedule, and make all your decisions? Of course not. So why do we let difficult emotions take over our minds? Buddhism teaches that emotions are temporary visitors. They arrive, they stay for a while, and then they leave. Our mistake is believing they are permanent. The next time you feel anger, don't push it away. Don't fight it. Instead, observe it. Imagine it as a cloud floating across the sky. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to hold on to it. Just watch it move. This shift in perspective changes everything. You stop identifying with your emotions and start seeing them for what they really are, passing experiences, not permanent truths. The power of choosing your response. Let's say you're having a rough day. You're tired, things aren't going as planned, and then someone makes a rude comment. In that moment, you have a choice. You can react, snap back, let anger take over, allow the negativity to spread. Or you can pause, take a breath, and choose how you want to respond. You might decide to ignore it. You might choose to address it later when emotions have settled. You might even respond with kindness, refusing to let someone else's negativity pull you down. This is emotional mastery. Not the absence of emotions, but the ability to respond to them with wisdom instead of impulse. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Strengthening emotional detachment. At first, emotional detachment might feel unnatural. When you're used to reacting automatically, pausing feels strange. But like any skill, it gets easier with practice. Start with small moments. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of reacting with anger, pause. Remind yourself, this is not worth my peace. The next time someone speaks to you in a way you don't like, instead of immediately snapping back, take a breath. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Each time you do this, you strengthen your ability to remain calm. And over time, you'll find that situations that once triggered you no longer have the same power over you. The illusion of control. A major reason we struggle with emotions is because we try to control things we cannot. We want people to be kinder. We want situations to go smoothly. We want life to unfold exactly as we imagine. But reality doesn't work that way. No matter how much we plan, no matter how much we prepare, life will always bring unexpected challenges. People will act in ways we don't like. Situations will change. Fighting this is like trying to hold back the tide with your hands. It is exhausting, frustrating, and ultimately impossible. But once we accept that we cannot control everything, we free ourselves. Instead of trying to control the external world, we focus on controlling our internal state. We let go of the illusion that other people are responsible for our happiness. We realize that peace is not found in controlling the outside world. It is found in mastering our own mind. Training yourself to stay calm. Like a muscle, emotional resilience strengthens with practice. The more you train yourself to stay calm, the easier it becomes. Here are some simple but powerful techniques. Deep breathing. When emotions rise, take a deep breath in, hold it for a moment, then exhale slowly. This simple act signals to your brain that it is safe to relax. Mindful awareness. Pay attention to your emotions as they arise. Instead of reacting immediately, observe them. Label them: anger, frustration, impatience. The moment you name them, you create space between yourself and the emotion. Gratitude shift. When frustration arises, shift your focus to something you are grateful for. Even in difficult moments, there is always something positive. Journaling. At the end of the day, write down any moments where you lost your calm. What triggered you? How did you react? How could you have responded differently? Over time, this practice rewires your brain to approach situations with greater awareness. Visualization. Picture yourself as an unshakable mountain. No matter how strong the winds blow, you remain steady. Before entering a difficult situation, take a moment to visualize yourself handling it with calm and wisdom. The freedom of emotional mastery. When you begin to master your emotions, something incredible happens. You stop taking things personally. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop letting external events dictate your inner peace. Instead, you move through life with a quiet, unshakable calm. And this calm is not something that can be given to you by others. It is something you create within yourself. Each time you choose peace over anger, you strengthen it. Each time you let go of what does not serve you, you become lighter. And as this becomes your new way of being, you discover something truly powerful. You are free. Free from unnecessary suffering. Free from being controlled by outside forces. Free to choose how you experience every moment of your life. This is the essence of emotional mastery. Not avoiding emotions, but learning how to move through them with grace. Not suppressing what you feel, but knowing that you do not have to be ruled by it. And once you understand this, once you embrace it fully, you become truly unstoppable. Imagine walking through life like a monk in a bustling city, calm, collected, and unshaken by the noise around you. No matter how loud the world gets, no matter how many distractions try to pull you in, you remain centered. This is what true emotional mastery looks like. It's not about avoiding the chaos of life. It's about carrying stillness within you, no matter where you go. Most people live in a constant state of reaction. Something happens, and without thinking, they respond emotionally. A rude comment sparks anger. A setback leads to frustration. An unexpected problem triggers anxiety. But what if you didn't have to react this way? What if you could train your mind to remain calm, no matter the situation? This is not just a fantasy, it is a skill that can be developed, strengthened, and mastered. The space between stimulus and response. The greatest power you have is your ability to choose your response. Between the moment something happens and the moment you react, there is a space. In this space lies your freedom. Most people don't even realize this space exists. They react instantly, without thought. But when you train yourself to pause, to recognize this space, you gain control over your emotions. Imagine this: someone insults you. Your usual reaction might be to snap back, defend yourself, or feel hurt. But what if, instead, you paused, you took a breath, you reminded yourself that their words are a reflection of them, not you. You chose not to engage in the negativity. Instead of feeding the fire, you let it die out. This is the power of mastering the space between stimulus and response. It is the key to emotional freedom. Detaching from emotional triggers. Every person has emotional triggers, things that instantly set them off. These triggers are like buttons that, when pressed, release a flood of emotions. Maybe you get irritated when someone interrupts you. Maybe you feel defensive when someone questions your abilities. Maybe you become anxious when plans change unexpectedly. But here's the truth. Triggers only have power if you let them. Once you identify your triggers, you can begin to disarm them. The next time you feel a strong emotional reaction, pause and ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? What belief is being challenged? Often triggers are tied to deep-seated fears or insecurities. When someone interrupts you, it may not just be about the interruption. It may be about feeling unheard, unseen, or disrespected. When you recognize the deeper cause, you gain power over the reaction. You realize that the event itself is not the problem, it is your interpretation of the event. And interpretations can be changed. The art of responding with wisdom. Mastering your emotions does not mean you never feel anger, sadness, or frustration. It means you respond to these emotions with wisdom. Instead of acting on impulse, you step back. You observe. You decide how to proceed. There is a Buddhist practice known as the 4 questions of right speech. Before speaking, ask yourself, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Will it improve the situation? If the answer to any of these is no, then silence is often the best response. Imagine applying this in an argument. Instead of reacting in the heat of the moment, you pause. You reflect. You choose words that are thoughtful, not just emotionally driven. This practice alone can transform your relationships. It can turn conflicts into conversations. It can replace frustration with understanding. And over time, it trains your mind to respond with clarity rather than emotion. The strength in stillness. Many people believe that staying calm means being passive. But in reality, it is one of the greatest strengths you can develop. It takes immense power to remain still when everything around you is chaotic. It takes discipline to not react when provoked. It takes wisdom to know that not every battle is worth fighting. Think of a candle in a dark room. A single breeze can blow it out. But a flame that is protected, that is steady, remains lit no matter what. Your mind is this flame, and emotional mastery is the ability to shield it from the winds of the world. The practice of letting go. Holding onto negative emotions is like carrying a heavy rock. The longer you hold it, the more exhausted you become. But at any moment, you can choose to let it go. Most people hold on to grudges, anger, and past disappointments, believing that by doing so, they are protecting themselves. But in reality, they are only harming themselves. Buddhism teaches that letting go is not about weakness. It is about wisdom. It is understanding that clinging to the past only creates suffering. It is knowing that peace comes not from getting even, but from releasing what no longer serves you. The next time you feel resentment, ask yourself, is holding on to this worth my peace? If the answer is no, then let it go. Not for them, but for you. The power of silence. Sometimes, the most powerful response is no response at all. When someone is trying to provoke you, silence is strength. When emotions are high, silence allows for clarity. When your mind is racing, silence brings peace. In a world that is constantly shouting, silence is a rare and powerful tool. Use it wisely. Creating a daily practice of emotional mastery. Like any skill, mastering your emotions requires practice. The more you train your mind, the stronger it becomes. Here are a few simple practices to incorporate into your daily life. Morning mindfulness. Before starting your day, take a few minutes to sit in silence. Focus on your breath. Set an intention to remain calm throughout the day. Daily check-ins. Throughout the day, pause and ask yourself, how am I feeling? Am I reacting or am I responding? End-of-day reflection. Before sleeping, reflect on your emotions from the day. What triggered you? How did you handle it? What could you do differently next time? The 10-second rule. When emotions rise, count to 10 before responding. This short pause can make the difference between reaction and wisdom. Practice non-attachment. Remind yourself daily, I am not my emotions. I am the observer of my emotions. This simple thought shifts your entire perspective. The reward of emotional freedom. When you master your emotions, you gain a freedom that few ever experience. You are no longer controlled by external events. You are no longer at the mercy of other people's words. You are no longer pulled into unnecessary conflicts. Instead, you move through life with a quiet confidence, a steady presence, an unshakable peace. This does not mean life will always be easy. Challenges will still arise. People will still test your patience, but you will meet these moments with grace, with wisdom, with the knowledge that nothing can disturb your inner peace unless you allow it to. And when you reach this level of mastery, you will realize something profound. The world may still be chaotic, but inside you are untouchable. A calm mind is an unstoppable force. And once you cultivate it, nothing, no insult, no situation, no external event can take your peace away, because you have become the master of yourself. And that is true power. Think about the last time you lost control of your emotions. Maybe it was anger flaring up in an argument. Maybe it was frustration bubbling over when things didn't go your way. Or maybe it was a wave of sadness washing over you when you least expected it. Now imagine if in that very moment you had been able to step back, to watch your emotions rise and fall without being pulled into them. Imagine if you had been able to remain calm, composed, and completely unshaken. This is not just an idea. It is a practice, a way of life. And once you master it, no one will ever have power over your peace again. Understanding emotional triggers. Have you ever wondered why some things set you off so easily? Why one small comment from a stranger can ruin your mood, while another person might not be affected at all? The truth is, emotions don't come from the outside world. They come from within you. What triggers you is often tied to something deeper, an old wound, an insecurity, an expectation that was not met. For example, if someone criticizes your work and it fills you with anger, the anger is not really about their words. It is about what those words mean to you. Perhaps they remind you of past experiences where you felt unworthy. Perhaps they challenge your belief that you must be perfect to be valued. But once you recognize this, everything changes. Instead of reacting to the surface-level trigger, you can go deeper. You can ask yourself, why does this affect me so much? What belief is being challenged here? By understanding your triggers, you begin to disarm them. The next time someone says something that would usually upset you, you don't react in the same way. Instead, you pause, you reflect, and you realize that their words only have power if you allow them to. Detaching from the opinions of others. One of the greatest sources of emotional suffering is caring too much about what others think. We spend so much energy trying to be liked, to be approved of, to fit into expectations that were never even ours to begin with. But here is the truth. You do not need validation from anyone. Your worth is not determined by someone else's opinion. Your happiness does not have to depend on how others see you. Buddhism teaches that external validation is fleeting. One day people praise you, the next they criticize you. If you attach your self-worth to their words, you will forever be on an emotional roller coaster, up one moment, down the next. True freedom comes when you stop seeking approval. When you realize that what others think of you is a reflection of them, not of you. The next time someone criticizes you, instead of reacting emotionally, try this. Pause, take a breath. Then ask yourself, does this person's opinion define me, or am I still the same person, no matter what they say? When you reach the point where no external comment can shake you, you have found true emotional mastery. The power of self-validation. If you no longer seek validation from others, where does your sense of worth come from? It comes from within. You validate yourself, not through perfection, not through achievements, but simply through self-acceptance. You tell yourself, I am enough as I am. I do not need anyone else's approval to know my worth. This does not mean you stop improving. It does not mean you ignore feedback. But it means you stop attaching your happiness to what others think. Self-validation is the foundation of emotional strength, and when you build it, you become unshakable. Controlling your internal state. Many people believe that emotions are something that happen to them, but in reality, you have far more control than you think. Your internal state, your peace, your happiness, your clarity, does not have to depend on what happens around you. It is something you cultivate from within. This is why monks can live in complete stillness, even in noisy, chaotic environments. They have trained their minds to remain calm, regardless of what is happening externally. And you can do the same. The first step is realizing that no one can make you feel anything unless you allow it. Someone can insult you, but their words only hurt if you accept them. A situation can be stressful, but it only consumes you if you let it. Life can be unpredictable, but your mind does not have to be. By taking responsibility for your internal state, you reclaim your power. No longer are you a puppet, pulled by the strings of external events. You become the master of your emotions, the guardian of your peace. Training the mind for emotional strength. Like any skill, emotional mastery requires practice. Here are some techniques to train your mind. 1. The pause technique. Whenever you feel a strong emotion, pause before reacting. Take 3 deep breaths. Inhale, hold, exhale. This short pause can be the difference between reacting impulsively and responding with wisdom. 2. The observer. Mindset. Instead of getting caught up in emotions, try watching them from a distance. Imagine your thoughts as clouds in the sky, drifting by. Say to yourself, I am not my thoughts. I am not my emotions. I am the observer of them. This mindset helps you detach and see emotions for what they really are. Temporary experiences, not permanent realities. 3. The empty cup practice. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises when we hold on to expectations. The more we expect, the more we set ourselves up for disappointment. Instead, practice going into situations with an empty cup. No rigid expectations, just openness to whatever unfolds. When things don't go as planned, remind yourself, nothing was ever guaranteed. I will adapt, I will learn, I will move forward. This simple shift removes so much unnecessary stress from life. Embracing emotional freedom. The moment you stop letting external events control you, everything changes. You no longer react impulsively. You no longer get caught in unnecessary conflicts. You no longer allow negativity to consume your mind. Instead, you move through life with clarity, with intention, with a calm that no one can take away. And here's the most powerful part. When you master your emotions, you influence everyone around you. Your calm energy spreads. Your presence becomes a source of peace for others. People will notice the way you handle challenges with grace. They will wonder how you remain so steady in the face of adversity. And in doing so, you inspire them to do the same. The journey to mastery. This journey is not about reaching a state of perfection. It is about progress, growth, becoming a little stronger each day. Some days you will remain calm in situations that once triggered you. Other days you may still react, and that is okay. The key is to keep practicing, to keep reminding yourself, I am not controlled by emotions, I control them, to keep returning to that place of stillness within. And over time, this will become your natural state. You will no longer be affected by minor inconveniences. You will no longer waste energy on things beyond your control. You will no longer lose your peace over temporary moments. Instead, you will walk through life with a quiet confidence, an unshakable calm, a strength that comes from within. This is the ultimate freedom, and it is yours to claim. Emotions are powerful. They can build bridges or burn them. They can inspire greatness or lead to destruction. They can lift us to the highest peaks of joy or drag us into the depths of despair. But here's the most important truth. You are not your emotions. You experience emotions, but they do not define you. Most people live at the mercy of their emotions. They wake up happy if things go their way and fall into frustration if they don't. They allow external circumstances to dictate their mood, never realizing that true peace comes from within. But imagine what it would be like to be in control, to experience emotions without being ruled by them, to feel everything but react to nothing, to walk through life with unshakable calm, no matter what happens around you. This is not just an ideal, it is a practice, a way of living, and once you master it, nothing will have power over you again. The mind as a still lake. Think of your mind as a lake. When the surface is disturbed, it becomes cloudy, chaotic, impossible to see clearly. But when the water is still, everything becomes visible. This is how emotions work. When we react impulsively, our mind becomes agitated, like a storm stirring the water. We make rash decisions. We say things we regret. We lose sight of what truly matters. But when we cultivate stillness, we see everything clearly. This is why the greatest warriors, the greatest thinkers, the greatest leaders are always calm. They do not react in the heat of the moment. They respond with wisdom. And this is something you can train within yourself. Learning to sit with your emotions. One of the most valuable skills you can develop is the ability to sit with your emotions without immediately acting on them. Most people feel discomfort and instantly seek to escape it. They react, they distract themselves, they suppress what they feel. But emotions, like waves, rise and fall naturally. If you sit with anger, it will peak and then fade. If you sit with sadness, it will move through you, then leave. If you sit with discomfort, it will transform into clarity. Try this practice. The next time you feel a strong emotion, do not react. Instead, close your eyes and observe it. Where do you feel it in your body? Is your chest tight? Is your stomach uneasy? Simply notice it without judgment. Then take a slow, deep breath and remind yourself, this is just a feeling. It will pass. As you do this, you create space between the emotion and your reaction, space to choose a different response. This is how you reclaim control over your mind. The power of emotional alchemy. In Buddhist teachings, emotions are like raw energy. They are not inherently good or bad. It is what we do with them that matters. Anger, when uncontrolled, leads to destruction. But when transformed, it becomes strength. Sadness, when left unchecked, leads to despair. But when understood, it becomes compassion. Fear, when allowed to rule us, creates paralysis. But when embraced, it becomes wisdom. This is the practice of emotional alchemy, turning heavy emotions into sources of power. The next time you feel anger, instead of reacting destructively, ask yourself, how can I use this energy constructively? Can I channel it into self-improvement, into standing up for what is right, into something meaningful? Emotions are not the enemy. When we learn to work with them instead of being consumed by them, they become our greatest teachers. Detaching from the past and the future. So much of our suffering comes not from what is happening now, but from being trapped in the past or worrying about the future. We replay past mistakes. We dwell on regrets. We carry the weight of old wounds, never realizing that the past only exists in our mind. Or we obsess over the future, worried about things that have not happened, anxious about things we cannot control. But the present moment is all that truly exists. Right now, as you are listening, you are safe. You are breathing. You are alive. The mind creates suffering by wandering away from the present. But when you train yourself to return, to focus on this breath, this moment, you break free from unnecessary pain. Try this. When you catch yourself lost in the past or future, gently bring your focus back. Touch something near you. Feel its texture. Listen to the sounds around you. Take a deep breath and remind yourself, right now, I am here. Right now, I am at peace. Each time you do this, you strengthen your ability to remain present. And in presence, suffering dissolves. The art of not taking things personally. One of the greatest sources of emotional suffering is taking things personally. Someone insults you, and you feel wounded. Someone ignores you, and you feel unworthy. Someone behaves badly, and you believe it's about you. But in reality, people's actions are reflections of them, not you. When someone is unkind, it is because they are struggling with their own mind. When someone is rude, it is because they are battling their own emotions. Buddhism teaches that nothing others do is truly about you. It is about their experiences, their beliefs, their state of mind. When you understand this, you stop reacting. Instead of taking offense, you feel compassion. Instead of retaliating, you remain unmoved. The next time someone insults you, try this. Pause, take a breath, and remind yourself, this is not about me, this is about them. You will find that most conflicts disappear when you no longer give them energy. Mastering the inner dialogue. Your emotions are deeply influenced by the way you talk to yourself. If your inner voice is harsh, critical, and full of doubt, your emotions will reflect that. But if your inner voice is kind, encouraging, and strong, your emotions will follow. Ask yourself, if a friend spoke to me the way I speak to myself, would I want to be around them? If the answer is no, then it's time to change the conversation. Practice speaking to yourself with compassion. Instead of saying, I always mess up, say, I am learning and growing. Instead of saying, I am not good enough, say, I am worthy as I am. Your mind believes what you tell it. Feed it thoughts that strengthen you. Becoming the calm in the storm. There will always be storms in life. difficult moments, unpredictable challenges, but you do not have to be swept away. You can become the calm in the storm, the steady presence that remains grounded no matter what. When others react with anger, you respond with wisdom. When chaos erupts around you, you remain centered. When emotions rise, you observe them, but you do not become them. This is the power of true emotional mastery. Not the absence of feeling, but the presence of choice. The choice to remain at peace. The choice to respond with wisdom. The choice to be in control of your own mind. And once you develop this skill, you will never lose it. Because true strength is not found in fighting battles outside of you. It is found in mastering the one within. Mastering your emotions is not just about avoiding anger or frustration. It's about reaching a state where nothing outside of you can disturb your inner peace. A state where your mind is no longer a battlefield, but a sanctuary. Imagine moving through life like a great mountain, unshaken by the wind, unmoved by the storms, standing firm no matter what happens. This is the level of control you can achieve over your emotions, not through suppression, but through deep understanding. By training your mind, you become the kind of person who remains calm even in chaos, who radiates peace even when surrounded by noise. You no longer fear difficult situations because you know, whatever happens, you will not lose yourself. This is the ultimate freedom. Detachment, the key to unshakable peace. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes from attachment to people, outcomes, expectations. We suffer because we want things to go a certain way. We cling to ideas of how life should be, and when reality does not match our expectations, we feel pain. But what if you could let go? Not in a way that makes you cold or indifferent, but in a way that frees you from unnecessary suffering. Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You love people, but you do not attach your happiness to them. You set goals, but you do not attach your worth to the outcome. You live fully, but you do not grip life so tightly that it slips through your fingers. When you detach from expectations, you open yourself to peace, because nothing outside of you has the power to control your emotions anymore. The illusion of control. One of the greatest sources of stress is trying to control things we cannot. We want people to act a certain way. We want life to unfold according to our plans. We want certainty in an uncertain world. But no matter how much we try, control is an illusion. People will act as they choose. Situations will change. Life will unfold in unexpected ways. The only thing you truly control is your own mind. And when you accept this, you stop wasting energy trying to control the uncontrollable. You learn to adapt, to flow, to remain at peace no matter what happens. This does not mean you stop taking action. It means you take action without attachment to the result. You give your best effort, but you do not let failure break you. You love deeply, but you do not let loss destroy you. You embrace life fully, but you do not fear change. This is true strength, the ability to face uncertainty with a calm heart. Responding instead of reacting. There is a powerful difference between reacting and responding. A reaction is instant, emotional, automatic. A response is thoughtful, controlled, intentional. Most people live in reaction mode. They react to stress, to conflict, to frustration without thinking. But when you master your emotions, you learn to pause, to breathe, to observe, to choose your response. The next time something upsets you, practice this. Pause. Do not react immediately. Breathe. Take a deep breath in, hold it, then exhale slowly. Observe. Notice what you are feeling. Do not judge it, just acknowledge it. Choose. Ask yourself, what response will serve me best? With time, this pause becomes natural. You stop being a prisoner to impulse and instead become the master of your reactions. The power of emotional minimalism. Just as we declutter our physical space, we must also declutter our emotional space. Many of us carry unnecessary emotional baggage, resentments, regrets, worries that serve no purpose. But just like an overfilled room feels heavy and suffocating, an overfilled mind creates suffering. Ask yourself, what emotions am I holding on to that no longer serve me? Maybe it's an old grudge, a past mistake, a fear of the future. Now ask, what would happen if I simply let it go? You do not have to carry everything. You can release what weighs you down. Emotional minimalism is about choosing where your energy goes. You do not need to react to every small irritation. You do not need to carry the opinions of others. You do not need to dwell on things beyond your control. The less you hold on to, the lighter you become. Finding joy in simplicity. Many people believe that peace comes from having more success, more love, more external achievements. But true peace comes from needing less attachment, less worry, less emotional clutter. It is found in the small, simple moments. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of laughter, the quiet of early morning. It is not something you chase, it is something you allow. Right now, in this moment, you have everything you need to be at peace. Breathe that in, let it settle. Becoming a guardian of your energy. Not everything in life deserves your energy. Not every argument is worth engaging in. Not every situation requires an emotional investment. You must become selective with where you place your attention. Ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? And with every choice you make, you train your mind. You build resilience. You create a life of effortless peace. One breath at a time, one moment at a time, until one day you look back and realize nothing outside of you has power over you anymore, because you have become the master of yourself, and that is the greatest power of all.